Welcome back everyone. I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. I'm going to end the year with my top 10 plants of 2020 today for you. It's quite a difficult decision narrowing it down to 10 plants, as I do appreciate them all in different ways. But based on how they look, how they grow for me, how fussy they are, I've kind of narrowed it down to my top 10 of this year. So let's start off the top 10 with the beautiful GLORIOSUM. What's not to love about its stunning heart-shaped velvety leaves? So some of you all know that I was selling plants with Foliage Fanatic during the first lockdown, and this was one of the plants that I decided to keep for myself. So originally it just had this one leaf here, and since then it has grown two beautiful new leaves. So I've had this one around 7 months and I haven't found it too fussy. So it is under a grow light, although it's quite far away from it. And I've noticed there's some more growth coming up. This is a crawling plant, so ideally you need like a long pot for it. So as you can see, it's going to basically trail over the edge of the pot. I did see some nice kind of rectangular pots in HomeSense back in the summer, and I wish I'd picked a couple of them up now. I'll have to try and find something else a bit more suitable and then figure out where I'm going to put it. But for now, I think it'll be okay here. So I have found the GLORIOSUM pretty low maintenance and pretty fast growing, I would say. I know some people have a few issues with yellowing of leaves. Once a new one pops up, the old ones tend to yellow, but I haven't had an issue with that yet. I do actually need to give these leaves a wipe down with some filtered water on kitchen roll. As you can see, there's a bit of residue from the humidifier kind of sat on top of it. I might do that now quickly and then show you what it looks like. Wow, that looks so much better. Look at this one in comparison. Looks a completely different colour, although it will lighten a bit when it's dried, but that looks so much nicer. Yes, I think I'm gonna have to do that after work today, wipe down all the leaves. And then next to the GLORIOSUM, we've got the next plant on my list, which is the PHILODENDRON SQUAMIFERUM. I think that's how you pronounce it. This one has grown so much since I first got it. This is the newest leaf, which is absolutely huge. I just absolutely love the hairy petioles on this plant. It's very unusual looking, very different to all my other plants. Very, very striking. And when I first got it, I think it only had these bottom leaves. I think it might have just come up to here. So since I've had it, it's grown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's on its 6th leaf. I really also love the leaf profile on this plant. It kind of reminds me of the Florida Beauty or Florida Ghost. So it's definitely a prolific grower, and it likes a lot of feed. As you can see here, you can see slight yellow streaking in the leaves, and that means it wants feeding. None of my other plants do this, but I remember when I first got this plant, it actually had the streaking in the leaves, and then after feeding it, a few weeks later, all the leaves were back to being like a dark green again. So I did actually feed it last week, so I think I might have to give it a bit more. I don't normally feed my plants in the winter because it's such a fast grower. I think it does need a bit of extra feed, and it's going to be outgrowing its moss pole very soon as well. Might have to extend that. But such a beautiful plant, definitely one of my favourites from this year. The next plant on my list is Big Billy. So originally this plant had 3 leaves and now it's got 6, and it's looking quite magnificent. They're absolutely huge. Really beautiful leaf profile. I only recently gave this plant a moss pole, so it might look a little bit wild at the moment, but it is kind of starting to look a bit more of a nice shape. Originally when I put it around the pole, this leaf was kind of facing up like that, but it's starting to kind of look a bit nicer now. It's getting used to its pole, and we do have some new growth here, which is quite exciting. I did find this one quite slow growing to begin with, but then once it produced its first new leaf with me, it popped out quite a few quite quickly after that. So I think this is the newest leaf here, I believe, or actually it might be this one of the two. But I just love the profile, and it's very grand looking. Certainly a statement plant. easy to care for, not too fussy. I've got it in a nice chunky aroid mix, same as my SQUAMIFERUM and my GLORIOSUM. I'll link below my soil mix video for you in the description box. So the next plant on my list is also over in this corner, and it is the MELANOCHRYSUM. This is Big Mel. I've had this plant for around 12 months. This is one that I got from Foliage Fanatic, and originally it just had this one leaf, which is looking slightly tatty now, but I'm actually quite surprised that this leaf is still here. And then it's also grown 3 new leaves. It's really beautiful. I've always loved this plant since the first moment I saw it at the Botanical Gardens. This plant is also known as black gold philodendron because when the leaves first unfurl, they're kind of like a bronzy gold colour, and then as they mature you can see that they do turn to a very, very dark green colour. So this is the newest leaf here. A bit hard to show you. So I'd recommend keeping the MELANOCHRYSUM in bright indirect light with high humidity and a nice warm environment. I do have it under a grow light. I found that the MELANOCHRYSUMs, I've got 3, and the 2 that are growing under grow lights are growing much better than the one that isn't under a grow light, so I would definitely recommend bright indirect light for this plant. And also I have given it a bamboo pole for now, but it does need a proper moss pole. You'll find that if it's got something to climb up which makes it a bit more stable, you'll get bigger leaves. So I'm hoping when this plant's got a proper moss pole, the leaves will grow a bit bigger as it matures. But it's such a stunning plant and I can't wait to see how big it gets. So at the moment I've got the humidity set at 60%, but it's actually 56% in the room at the moment. But I do find that over time your plants will adapt to your home environment, and I rarely get any problems with crispy leaves. You might find when you first bring a plant into your home you can get a little bit of crispiness on the leaves, but you'll find once the new foliage starts emerging it will adapt to your environment and you shouldn't really have any issues as long as the humidity is not too low. It's generally around 50 to 60% in the winter in my house, and then it is a bit higher in the summer. It can kind of go up to about 70%. But I would definitely recommend a humidifier if you don't already have one. The next plant on my list is a jewel orchid named DOSSINIA marmorata, and it has the most beautiful intricate veining, looks like lightning. Kind of similar to the Macodes petola, but this actually grows quite a bit larger and it's got this deep maroon colour on the foliage, which is so beautiful. I think it's a little bit dusty. I think I need to give this one a wipe as well, but this one's actually flowering. The flowers aren't anything spectacular, but still quite nice to have it anyway. So originally I had this plant in my biOrb AIR Terrarium, and then it started producing an offshoot, so I've actually got 2 of them now. I'll show you the other one, but for now this one just sits on the windowsill and it seems quite happy here. I don't find it to be too fussy. Sometimes the leaves will curl slightly if it needs a bit more humidity, so ideally they are better in a terrarium. And this one has slightly different watering requirements to the Macodes petola. This one prefers to be a little bit drier, so I don't water this one quite as often as my other jewel orchids. Sorry, it's a little bit dark on this side of the living room, but this is my other DOSSINIA marmorata. In here, it seems quite happy. It's got a few friends in there. They seem to do quite well in medium to bright indirect light. This one's actually not getting that much light at all over here, but it still seems okay. I'll just have to keep an eye on it. Next up we have the ANTHURIUM radicans. I absolutely love the bubbled texture on the leaves, and I love the leaf profile, and also the petioles are a lovely red colour. This one's got quite a few growth points coming up, which is exciting. So the pebbled texture actually helps the leaf capture light from all directions, which means you can actually put this plant in slightly lower light conditions. It also reminds me of the Anthurium luxurians, but the luxurians is very, very expensive. So if you like the luxurians and you don't quite have the budget for it, go for a radicans. So I haven't had any issues with this plant since I've had it. I would say that it's quite a low maintenance anthurium compared to some of the other ones. So the last 4 plants on my list are up here in my office. The first being this beautiful Soderoy, and this is the new leaf. Look how stunning it is. I absolutely love the profile of these leaves and the beautiful silver splashes. I might actually have to move it out from under the grow light so I can actually show you properly. So I've just moved the plant out from under the grow light so you can get a better look. So beautiful. I found this one quite fast growing. I haven't had it that long, but it had just 2 leaves when I first got it, and then it recently popped this one out. Such a perfect looking leaf. I also really appreciate the ruffles on the foliage, and I love the little pink splash there in the middle. I definitely prefer this variety over my regular Soderoy. I just feel like it's been less fussy than my other one, and I haven't had any yellowing or any issues at all with this plant. So definitely one of my favourites. This plant was also from Foliage Fanatic, and I actually hadn't even heard of this type of Soderoy before, but I'm so happy to have it in my collection and can't wait to see how big it gets. The next plant on my list is at the back there. It is the Florida Beauty. I'm going to go around the side of the cabinet in a minute so you can have a good look. But I've got this one growing under my Spider Farmer grow light, and I mentioned before that when I first got this plant it barely had any variegation, and I think it had 2 leaves. And then after growing it under the light for 2 or 3 weeks, it actually popped out a really lovely variegated leaf, which I was quite shocked at, to be honest, but I'm giving all the credit to my Spider Farmer light. I always get asked what lights I use on my shelving unit, so I will link them below for you. And one of my favourite features of this light is you can actually dim it. It's actually on quite a low setting at the moment, but as you can see, if you turn it up, it goes really, really bright, but I find that it being set on around 20 is plenty enough light for the plants, and they all seem to be doing really well. So here you can see the original leaves that didn't really have much variegation. There's one at the back there as well. So the first leaf that popped out was this one. As you can imagine, I was quite thrilled about that. And then this one here, lots of lovely variegation. And then this one. And then the most recent leaf is this one, which is still hardening off. So you can't really properly see the variegation yet, and then there's some new growth on the way. So I found this plant to be low maintenance, fast growing, and if you give it the right conditions, you should hopefully get some lovely variegation. I absolutely love the leaf profile and the colour of the petioles. It's a bit hard to see, but they are like a deep burgundy red, really, really beautiful. Next on my list is the beautiful and unusual CUPREA. I've got a couple of these. This one I've had for 2 years. It's currently got 19 leaves with a new leaf on the way, or actually it might have unfurled now. Yep, it's unfurled. 20 leaves, not bad. I've found this really low maintenance, and also because of the texture and metallic finish on the leaves, you can actually grow these in slightly lower light conditions than a lot of other Alocasia. I just love it. It's so unusual and very, very eye-catching. Last but certainly not least, my absolute showstopper. This is a Queen Anthurium. This is a brand new leaf, and I just cannot believe how quickly the leaves grow. When this popped out less than a couple of weeks ago, this leaf was tiny, and now it is absolutely huge. I was actually very surprised to see a brand new leaf like this growing in the winter, so it must be quite happy in here. Sat next to the humidifier. I've just switched it off actually, as it was a bit misty in here, but again I'll take this one over to the other side so you can get a better look. So the WAROCQUEANUM, also known as the Queen Anthurium, can be known for being a little bit fussy. They do love very high humidity and warm temperatures, but as I mentioned before, I do feel like the plants will adapt to your home environment after time. So the original leaves did go a little bit crispy. This is the original one. And it does look to be dark form. This leaf hasn't finished hardening off yet, so I'm quite intrigued as to whether this will be as dark as the existing leaves or not. But I'm absolutely thrilled at the size of the leaf. It must be really happy. I'll have to update you once this leaf has hardened off, because it is actually still growing at the moment. And I just find it incredible how quickly the leaves grow. When it popped out, it was absolutely tiny. I was expecting it to be about this size once it like hardened off. So I'm actually amazed at how big it is. I'm very, very happy. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sorry there's no calatheas on my list this year. The main reason is because I had quite a few bug issues with them over the last kind of year and a half, and I do feel like they are prone to bugs, especially spider mites, but I also got thrips as well, and they can be pretty fussy. So yes, no calatheas on my list this year. Take care, everyone. I look forward to seeing you in 2021.